Hello, a great welcome to the series on PLAXIS-tutorials. Here I will demonstrate the response analysis of a footing that is supported on a geosynthetic encased stone column. So as usual, let me first provide you a very brief introduction on the geosynthetic encased stone columns, which are also popularly known as encased stone columns, ESC. ESCs are effective when they are installed in very soft soils with the CU less than the range of 5 to 15 kPa. So the main issue often encountered in the case of ordinary stone columns that is placed in soft soil is the lack of lateral confinement, and this will result in the bulging of stone columns and will result in an excessive settlement. The ESCs, that's the encased stone columns, on the other hand, are encased in a high strength geotextile material, which could be geosynthetics, geogrids, etc. And accordingly, this encasement will provide the stone columns a better confinement and a stable and a confined column. So finally, the benefits of the ESCs over the OSCs include the reduced settlement and also an increased load capacity. Now the objective of the presentation is to assess the load settlement response of a circular footing supported on a single geotextile encased stone column ESC using the geotechnical FEA tool PLAXIS. The response obtained is also compared with an OSC case to demonstrate its efficiency. Now coming to the input parameters, let me first cover the component soil. So we have used a PLAXIS 2D axisymmetric analysis for this tutorial. So the model plan dimensions, or rather I would say that it is a sectional dimension. It's a 15 meter long by 10 meter deep model. So depth of the soil H that is considered is a 10 meter, that is H is equal to 10 meter up to a stiff soil strata. The material model used is the elastoplastic morpholem model. The unit weight of the soil gamma is taken as 18 kg per meter cubed in the saturated condition. Young's modulus E is taken as 2000 kPa with a Poisson ratio nu of 0.33. The coefficient C is taken as 5 kPa with an angle of internal friction phi equal to 25 degrees. Now coming to the footing, as shown in the sketch, the footing is essentially a circular footing that is having a diameter d equal to 2.5 meters. Now in order to simulate a rigid behavior of the footing, we have provided very high values for the axial as well as the flexural rigidity. So for example, the value of EA is taken as 100 into E9 kN per meter, whereas the value of the flexural rigidity EI is considered as 10 into E raised to 12 kN meter square per meter. Now regarding the stone columns, here we have chosen the diameter of the stone column DC in such a way that the area replacement ratio AR will work out to be 30%, because if we consider DC is equal to 1.37 meter, that is used below a footing of 2.5 meters, the corresponding area replacement ratio AR will be 1.37 divided by 2.5, the whole square into 100, that is 30%. And as shown in the sketch, we have used only a single stone column for this analysis. The length of the stone column LC, that is equal to 5 meter, which works out to be 2 into D, that is 2 into 2.5, and this will result in a highly efficient stone column length. Unit length of the stone column is taken as 20 kN per meter cube. Now the Young's modulus E is taken as 30,000 kPa for the stone column with a Poisson ratio of 0.33. The strength parameters include a C value of 0.10 kPa, a phi value of 45 degrees with an associated dilatancy angle psi equal to 10 degrees. Now coming to the geogrid, we know that the geogrids have got very high tensile properties, as well as whereas they don't have any capacity as far as the flexural rigidity is concerned. So for the geogrid that is used for this example, we have considered an axial rigidity AE is equal to 2000 kN per meter. So let me take you to the PLAXIS 2D model directly. Okay, fine. So as you can see that this is the Plaxis 2D model, and we have used a simple axisymmetry model over here, wherein you'll find that y-axis is the axis of symmetry. So now let me first introduce you to the basic components of this model. So we are in the soil mode. So if I just double click, you'll find that the whole material model that is developed is the material soil. And now if I go to the structures mode, let me show you the other components also. So you'll find that this is our stone column. If you go to the selection explorer, you'll find that the material that we have is the stone column. Now if you inspect this model, you'll find that there is a line, blue line over here by the side of this stone column that indicates the geogrid modeling. So if I select this geogrid, you'll find that let me just show you the material. Yes, the material is the geogrid. Okay, and as you will find that the geogrid is defined with a positive and a negative interface, and to ensure that there's a perfect bond between the stone column, the surrounding soil, and the geogrid, we have defined a strength reduction factor of 1.0. And now coming to the last element, that is the footing, and you will find that the footing is modeled here as a line element. And coming to the material, this is the footing material, and if you look into the selection explorer, you will find that the footing element is also subjected to a prescribed displacement of 0.5 meters, that is the 500 mm in the minus y direction. So that's all regarding the various components. Here again you will find that I have defined the so-called refinement zone in order to capture a more accurate response of the stone column, and we'll ensure that we use a smaller mesh density inside this refinement zone. Now let me quickly take you to the so-called the materials. So as already defined, we have basically two elements. There's a two components that comes under the soil and the interfaces. The first one is the soil. Let me just double click and show you the properties. Here you will find that we are using a Coulomb model and a unit weight of 18 kN per meter cube. Coming to the parameters, we have the stiffness parameter, that is E is equal to 2000 kPa, and you will find that the strength parameters involve a C value of 5 kPa and a phi value of 25 and a psi value of 0. Now let me take you to the other component, that is the stone column. If I double click it, you will find the properties. Again you will find that we have used the Coulomb model, and we have used a drained analysis and a unit weight of 20 kN per meter cube. Now coming to the parameters, you will find that a stiffness parameter, that is E is equal to 30,000 kPa, and a shear strength parameter of C equal to 0.1 kPa and phi equal to 45 degrees and a psi of 10. So that's all regarding the material components that is coming under the solid and interfaces. Now let me show you the properties of the footing. If I double click it, you'll find that yes, only we have got a lesser parameters over here. Material type is elastic, and as I already mentioned, we have used a very large values of AE and EI values in order to simulate the rigid footing conditions. Now finally, let me just show you the geogrid properties. So you can straight away select the geogrids. Here there is only a single property over here, and here we have defined the material type as elastic. And remember that the axial rigidity EA is taken as 2000 kN per meter cube, and we don't have any flexural rigidities, of course. So that's all regarding a brief introduction of the various material components that is used in this model. Now coming to, if I take you to the mesh, you'll find that yes, let me just show you the mesh that is defined for this. Let us generate the mesh, and remember that the mesh density in the various zones are to be selected so that the accuracy plus the computation time is balanced. So let me just show you the mesh that is generated by the program. Okay, fine. So this is the mesh. As you can see that we have used a smaller mesh density for the stone column, for the geotextile, as well as for the soil in the refinement zone, and for the soil outside the refinement zone. As you can see that the mesh density is coarser, so that's okay. Now finally let us proceed for selecting a control point. So selecting the control point is very easier, and we are monitoring the properties or the response using this control point. So obviously the control point for this problem would be the top corner point, that is the center point of the footing. So I can select it as 0, 10 and search, and you can select it as for example the node 2 that represents the soil at 0, 10, and then just update it. That's all. That's as simple as that. Now finally we have the more important one, that is the staged construction. And as you can see that in addition to the initial phase, we have defined 3 phases: phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. Phase 1 corresponding to the response of the footing that is supported on the virgin soil, that is we don't have any ESC or OSC, and the phase 2 corresponding to the ordinary stone column, that is what would be the performance of the stone column if it would have been supported on the OSC. And finally is the subject point of our discussion, that is the ESC encased stone column. And for example, if you see the virgin soil, you will find that only footing is active. If you go back to the ordinary stone column, you will find that only the OSC is active. And coming to the ESC, you will find that both the stone column as well as the geo grid is activated. So this is all regarding the various staged construction phases that we have employed for this problem, which means that we are ready to run for the analysis. You can just press the calculate button. Okay, fine. So let us preview the results. So as usual, first let us see the charts. So we'll have a new chart of course, and we'll select the project, and the imposed force will be chosen, that's Fy. And now coming to the y-axis, we'll choose the node point 2, and we'll choose the uy. So that's okay. So as you can see that yes, these are the 3 response plots. The first one corresponding to the virgin soil, the second one corresponding to the stone column, that's ordinary stone column, and the final one corresponding to the ESC, that's the encased soil column. Obviously we find that the performance of the encased soil column is far superior. Now I would like to show you one more thing, that is the deformation. So let me just close this window. So here is the deformation. So now look here. So from the deformation, it is very easy for us to see the action of the encasement. That is, for example, if I take the stone column, ordinary stone column, you will find that yes, there is a bulging of the stone column. This is because of the pore soil surrounding the stone column. On the other hand, if you select the ESC, you will find that the same bulging is no longer appearing here, which ensure that there is, which tells us that there is enough confinement provided by the geosynthetic reinforcement, and accordingly in this case we don't find any kind of the so-called bulging of the stone column. Now finally let me also show you the plastic points. The plastic points will ensure what would be the, so I will have the plastic points. Okay, so here this distribution of the plastic points tell me that the full length of this soil column is active, because in the case of the stone column, we have a critical term that is known as an effective length, or so in this case we find that the full length of the stone column, that is equal to 2 times the diameter, that is equal to 5 meters, is fully effective, as is clear from the so-called distribution of the plastic points, because we find that after a particular length of the stone column, increasing it is of no use, and here we find that the length that is provided L equal to 2d is fully effective. So let me take you to the presentation in order to explain a little bit more in depth the response quantities obtained from the PLAXIS. Okay, fine. So this is the response plots that we have combined in Excel using the data exported from a PLAXIS. As you can see that 3 response plots are provided over here. That is one for the bottom one is the VS, that's a footing supported on the virgin soil, that is without any stone columns, and the red one that corresponds to the ordinary stone column, and the black one corresponding to the encased stone column. And please note down the response quantities. Along the x-axis, as usual, we have got the deformation of the settlement. Maximum is 500 mm, that's imposed displacement. Along the y-axis, we have the so-called pressure, that is in kPa. Now here, if we assume a surface load pressure of 100 kPa, we can read from these plots, that means from 100 kPa, we can read from this plot the corresponding settlements. That is, from as far as the virgin ground is concerned, 100 kPa will produce a settlement of 100, almost we'll find that is a 106.7 mm, whereas an ordinary stone column that provides a much lesser one, that is 59.8 mm. And as far as the encased stone column is concerned, it provides us the least settlement, that's 52 mm. That is, we find that as far as the settlement reduction is concerned, ESCs are the best alternatives. Therefore, we conclude from this analysis that the settlement reduction factors for the various cases are as follows. For the ordinary stone column ISC, it is a 0.56, and remember that the settlement reduction factor is defined as the settlement with the stone column divided by settlement corresponding to the virgin ground. And finally, for the encased stone column, ESC is defined as 52 divided by 106.7, and this works out to be 0.49. So that's all for this presentation. So as usual, please go ahead and subscribe, and if you have any comments, please let me know. Thank you very much and have a nice day.